the agenda is correspondence. No correspondence. Approval of the minutes is next. Did everyone get a chance to look at it?
No, I'll be brief though. I glanced at them.
There's 2 meetings worth. 2 Junes.
Right, need the motion to approve the minutes for July, 15, and August as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to the next one, chairperson's report, we have none. We're gonna go back to the chief's report.
Okay, so just real quickly, an update on personnel. Officers Nick Laganigro and Mario Majorana are both set to graduate from the Police Academy in Britain on November 15th, 2024. We look forward to them returning and entering our field training and evaluation program. So we should expect to see them complete that program sometime in early spring. Currently, we are at about 25% of the patrol work staff is not available. So we're in basically the same boat we've been in for quite some time now. That includes 2 officers out on extended work-related medical leave, 3 officers on extended non-work-related medical leave, and 2 new officers in the academy, and then 2 vacancies that we're trying to fill. In addition, we have 1 officer who is currently on field training and is progressing very well. The only other item that I have is just we had the senior picnic on September 4th, and it was highly successful again, and we've been doing this now for about 20 to 22 years at the Simsbury Farms Rink, and it's a collaboration between social services, Parks and Rec, and the police department, and I think there were about 225 seniors that were there in attendance.
Wow. I was there. It was a nice time. It's always a good time.
Yes, it is.
Although Curtis tried to fight me for my hamburgers, but that's neither here nor there. I won't bring that up on the record.
Well, mine was better.
Are we doing the not Toys for Tots, the Stuff a Cruiser?
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything yet about plans for that, but we've done it every year since early 2000s, except
We
for
do a
maybe
food one at Thanksgiving?
on a
I know one.
yeah, just the turkey trot, which our participation
Help,
is.
but we're not doing that.
That's all I have, and then moving on to the consolidated monthly reports and the preliminary monthly reports are there if you have any questions.
I did have. Not so much for June. Oh yeah, so June, the consolidated monthly report. Was there a typo under suspicious persons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that like there wasn't something going
Oh.
on.
Haven't gotten that far. I was like,
Okay.
half the township.
I know, right? That was the only one that I had noticed. That was.
Has there been anything like the car part of which I can't think of the word right this second? Yes. Nothing.
Seen, heard that.
Decrease in that, it seems to have subsided, regionally throughout the state.
questions or anything. Is there anything that we should know that isn't in here that we didn't ask?
No, besides that error, which we'll fix,
Okay.
suspicious persons,
Okay.
no, there aren't.
Okay, so,
We tried to provide some, Jen has done a great job providing some notes down at the bottom of each, and I'll just give you like a, for example, in the year-to-date budget for the police, there's one asterisk, $17,994.26. That's been identified down below at the bottom there. That is a Connecticut DOT grant that we received to replace the printers and the related equipment in each of the cruisers. And in order to have a place to fund that through, they ended up using our office supplies account. So it shows a 338% use of that. So that $17,000, almost $18,000 will go back into that and even that out. It's just going to take some time. Sometimes they've done that throughout the year. Sometimes they've done it at the end of the year as a catch-up. But we'll continue to flag that until that's changed, so we accurately know what that is.
The ACO, do we have the ACO and I just don't, is there anything in there I need to know?
Is there?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking you. I have the
it's
year
there.
to date for the ACO, but
Yep.
I don't have the, no, I don't. I don't have the year to date for the ACO, I have the end of year.
Year-to-date should be on the back of the
I have
consolidated,
dispatch and police.
it's
on
on
the back of the
back
consolidated monthly.
for June 24th.
Sorry guys, I didn't mean to be double-sided.
That's okay. Found it. Looks good. Now that I found it, I like it. Alright.
Are there any other questions on the budget?
So the end of year, we were definitely high in overtime.
We were,
I was
yes.
surprised there.
No surprise. No surprise that we had a savings in the full-time, since we were down full-time employees.
Dispatch also took a hit on the overtime.
Yes, and we were down one as well.
Chief, do we have anything in the contract that says we have to replace employees once retired or whatever it is within a certain amount of time?
No, and there's no number in the contract saying how many officers that we have to have.
Okay, we don't have a minimum manning type thing.
There's minimum staffing for shifts, and there's minimum number of sergeants, but that's it.
Okay, so do you order for overtime if you can't get the volunteers?
We do. We have been actively trying to fill all vacancies. We don't like to go for any vacancies we have forever, yeah.
Is anyone coming down the hopper? Okay.
Hope so.
Are there people in the hopper, whether they're coming down or not?
So we have and we have now for some significant time had, open applications. So anybody can go to policeapp.com, they can click on Simsbury. If they have taken the CPCA, the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association exam online within the last 6 months, then they can apply to us. If they haven't taken that, then right on that police app site, they can sign up for the next available CPC exam, and they often do that 2 times a year. I'm sorry, 2 times a month.
So next up on the agenda are for us to review the proposed new and revised general orders.
Okay, so I will take the first 2, the body worn and dashboard cameras. I just provided each of you with the general notice from the state, which basically announces, hey, there is a change to the statewide policy. And then I provided you with a copy of that statewide policy. We have several of these that we have basically done verbatim, because just based on experience, it tends to be a whole lot easier for us to keep up with the updates, and this is a good example because there's been 3 updates already on this particular policy. So the only change on this one is highlighted in your copies. So they added a paragraph in on their statewide policy. It's on page 7. On ours, it's on the packets, page 17. But they just added 1 sentence in there, or sorry, 2 sentences in there about capturing all conversations with the public during an interaction with law enforcement. Once the officer's body-worn camera is activated, it shall not be muted or paused while interacting with the public unless otherwise provided by this policy. So that was a recent addition. So that's the only change to that general order.
Is it more convenient for us to do these one at a time or all at the end?
Probably one at a time. Yeah. So if if the board is accepting this general order, I'd like this to move and be effective tomorrow. We can put this out. We'll have an effective date of today.
I move to accept the amendment to the department issued body worn recording equipment and dashboard camera general order 41-3 effective October 16th.
All in favor?
So the second one is the automated license plate recognition systems. And both of these devices or tools have been through this commission. We have 2. So we have roadside cameras out at several different locations. And then we have an upgrade to the dash cameras in our cruisers. And what all of these do is they snap photographs. There's no live streaming of any of the activity. They just snap photos, and as they're doing that, it will read a license plate, and it will go to 2 different sources to see if there is a hit or a want on that license plate. It's only for either serious crimes or for vehicles that are involved in an Amber Alert or Silver Alert. Somebody needs to be found to be checked on to make sure that their health and well-being is okay. So if the camera picks up on this, it sends an alert to the mobile data terminals in each of the cruisers and to our dispatch center within 30 seconds, and then we are then out to try to find that vehicle, whether it's stolen or wanted in a crime or has a person in there who needs to be checked on. So we have had the flock cameras out there now for several months, and the dash cameras out there for several months. I'm going to give credit to a couple of the lieutenants for their significant work on this ALPR system policy. There was nothing to follow. There was no state mandate on this, so they researched some departments that are using these, have been using these, and then we tweaked it to work for our department here. So I hope you had a chance to take a look at it. It follows our format for the most part, besides there's no signature up there right now yet. But it does say draft on it. And the rescinds and the amend section, which maybe we'll put on there and never have to use it.
The same.
But if you have any questions about this, I think it clearly describes the purpose of our cameras and what we're supposed to do with those.
I think for me, what was unclear when reading this was the initiation of the photo being taken. For example, like if it's in a car, does the officer just do it?
It just does it by itself. So for instance, when you go through a toll right now, there's nobody clicking a button looking to take pictures of that toll. It's just automatically taking pictures of movement. And they'll tell us that it will very rarely pick up a person or something the size of a bicycle. It's designed to pick up a large object moving, and then it reads the plate on there, and then it takes that picture. So there's no initiation either in the cruiser or for the cameras that are on the roadside by the officers. It's just doing it.
Now, Chief, does this system replace the big bulky ones that go on the trunks?
Yeah, so you would see
Right.
like on all four
Right.
corners,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
and there's some advantages and disadvantages because right now what you're getting is just the front view of the cruisers. But really the intention of this is to be able to quickly identify, is that a stolen car? Is that a car that's wanted in a very serious violent crime that has gone by? Or is it somebody that there's an Amber Alert out for? So I think we're getting that heading right here, which is pretty good, where the other LPRs were designed to do more things, like look at
Yeah, in traffic, you could look at
unregistered
nearby
vehicles and
cars
things
so
like that, yeah.
I move to approve the automated license plate recognition system, GO 41-2, effective today, October 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Deputy Chief Davis is gonna take the next two. I have to step out for a minute and I'll be back in hopefully less than 5 minutes.
So the next one is the adult sexual assault investigations, which is a new policy. Again, it's a statewide policy, model policy put out through Post. Just basically incorporating all the best practices for this specific type of investigation, trying to make sure that all the towns, take measures to both secure proper evidence and also provide victim with certain rights and protections that some towns might not have previously had. So it's basically just codifying it all into a best practices document.
Again, this, not really needed for clarification, but mostly for uniformity. So on page 57 at the left, but page 4 of the actual draft, you have sexual assault kit that abbreviated that way, where in Post it has sexual assault, something other. Sexual,
On page 4,
yeah,
under what number?
7. Any,
Yeah,
yeah,
SAK.
italics, yeah, so it has SAK instead of SAECK. So you could make that uniform to what's in Post, in the definition, so that it's clear for everyone.
Okay.
And that was the one, that page, and also another, page 6, E2.
6E2. Basically, one stops just saying sexual assault examination kit, and one's sexual assault kit. It's the same thing, but I want to make sure that it reflects post language.
Or whatever language you guys normally use, so that it's not like,
Right.
what's that?
Yeah.
I move to approve the adult sexual assault investigation, general order 42-2, effective today, October 16th.
All in favor? Okay.
Okay, moving on to the last new one. Again, this is a state model policy for the investigation of hate crimes. Again, trying to standardize how towns and departments, one, view and categorize hate crimes as well as the investigation of such incidents. Best practices.
I had a question, which is, I know this is their policy, but like for ethnic group, it says Hispanic or non-Hispanic. Those are the only two ethnic groups. Like, it's very specific about certain things in the definitions. Same with race. Like they're very detailed about what they include, and I just thought that was interesting. Do you have any information about that?
I don't, again, this is put together through
Yeah.
post council and, that's what the,
But what
It's using diapers report, whatever, however
Yeah.
FBI crime statistic wants to report it to them.
So if I'm a different ethnicity, does it not count as a
You
hate?
obviously don't count according
Yeah,
to
like
the-
that's what just,
No, that your race will be different, so you're either
Race is different,
Hispanic or you're
yes,
not
right.
Hispanic.
those are the only two ethnicities
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
in the world?
Yes,
Are you sure?
Yes.
100%.
Wow, okay, I just learned something. See, you could have told me that beforehand.
It's the race that's different.
Okay.
When I looked at it, it was like, it was verbatim outside of
Yeah,
Simsbury department.
yeah.
it was exactly verbatim. I was just curious as to why it was so like,
Yeah, we wanna follow it obviously right to the T,
Yeah.
but obviously, instead of putting generic, we wanna customize it to the town, but keep all the content the same as the state.
No questions?
all right. Well, now that I've been educated, thank you. I move to approve investigation and reporting of hate crimes, General Order 42-3, effective today, October 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Old business, and,
Broken really quick.
okay.
We will be having to change the location of the December 2nd meeting. From up here, we will keep you posted as to where that location will be.
We still have one more item under new business.
The next item on the agenda is the capital budget.
So what's being passed around is strictly a draft. So every year we seem to have to do our budgets earlier and earlier. And we are one of the only departments that goes through police commission. So this is our budget moving forward. This year in particular, they are looking to have the capital projects done before operating. So this was kind of our only chance, unless we were looking for a special meeting or unless we were gonna turn it in after the deadline that was proposed or that was given to us, to discuss really what we want on our capital. And just a real brief explanation. Some of this stuff shows in here as on our capital or on our capital non-recurring, but it's really not, it doesn't come out of capital. So I'll give you an example. The police cruisers, it's the item number 1 there, that's in our operating budget. And it's worked well for us every year. We have had 3 cruisers to replace 3 of the older cruisers in the fleet. And that's out of our operating. But once that budget is passed, it's then removed and it's just put in the capital. So I'm not sure exactly the reasoning why it's put there for expenditure. I know it has helped us out because particularly during the pandemic, we couldn't get cars during that actual year. So it was several months afterwards. And so that worked out well for us because if it's in that budget year, you have to spend it within that budget year. But as far as the other reason why, I don't know why. But we'll discuss it as capital and what our needs are. The funding source here is what they have used in the past and what they're recommending, so that's the first column in from the actual item there. And the GF is the general fund. If you look at the CRF PD, that's the revenue fund, the capital revenue fund, and that's what's been earmarked from private duty. So as you can see, if you go down the entire column there, almost all of our capital is not funded through taxes. It's not funded through bonding. It's not funded through the general fund. It's funded, most of it is funded through that private duty fund. And what happens there is the private duty fund is revenue from all the private duty that the officers do, and that is used for, like, there's administrative fee on there. And that just starts to, pile up with the amount of hours that they work, and we've been able to successfully use that to fund most of this. Any questions so far before I start to hit each item?
They're not projecting a new PD until.
Yeah, that,
30,
I
34.
circled that, very unhappy about that. That was not supposed to, it was
Yeah,
5 years. 5.
Right,
Year 5.
so it was on, and this is not what anybody has done but me. So
Okay.
this is not where.
You made a typo, sir.
Sure, I made a typo. I will circle that right now and put that in 3 years out. What I did was I captured what we had been working on the last few years, because what we had been trying to do originally was a 5-year, then it was a 6-year, then we went to a 12-year.
Yeah.
So just filling in, and it says draft right there.
Just makes it a little.
Yeah. So just as a reminder of what we've
For
done
Jen,
this.
you need to do the watermark draft.
Right.
I
I
know
tried,
that.
but it's Excel. It was difficult. I just typed it. So just a reminder for what we did this year, because we were in fairly good situation with our fleet. We decided to do 2 cruisers this current year that we're in, and the funding for that 3rd cruiser went towards renovating our records division. So we still had the funding for 3, but we diverted some of that because our cruisers were looking pretty good. Knowing that this coming year, we want to get back to the 3 cruiser replacement plan. So the 3 cruisers are in there, and it's the highlighted section there that will give you the estimated cost of those 3 cruisers. And that is purchasing those cruisers through the state program, and upfitting them and outfitting them. We don't normally go with all new equipment. Sometimes we are forced to. We're looking pretty good for next year. We shouldn't have to, unless the model of the cruiser changes, then we may have to make some adjustments. But over the last few years, we were able to replace very old light bars. We don't need to replace those next year. So that number is pretty solid. As far as police admin vehicles, we have one listed on there, and we have done 1 every year, except every 3 or so years we'll do 2. The plan was to try to get our fleet on a 6-year plan for the admin cruisers. Those are the unmarked cars. We have not met that. We currently have 2 that are 7 years old. So next year at this time they'll be 8 years old. But what we have done is they're in better condition than they were years ago. Because if you recall, we did replace 2 1 year all at once, and then we had a couple that kind of croaked. And so our fleet is fairly new, or group of them is fairly new. And we have not had a 3rd detective filled now in quite some time, so the mileage is less on the cars. So where we're leaning right now is to forego that admin cruiser for next year. That's the $59,154. I don't know if we can just, sort of transfer that money to somewhere else, because you'll see further down the line there's a purchase in there. But that's what that line is, and we can get back to what we think we should be doing moving forward or not. The patrol supervisors cruisers, we originally looked to have those Tahoes. We purchased those in 2021, or when it was approved, and we were looking to get those right away, and the pandemic held us back on those. So they have not been in service now since 2021. There was quite a bit of delay. So they were originally on track for replacement in 26, 27, which we're looking at 27, 28. So nothing to really worry about for next year. They're doing fairly well. In fact, they have 2 new engines now because they had oil problems, and Chevy replaced those engines, so, yeah. The animal control officer vehicle, we have put that off already 1 year.
Can we put it off 2 years?
Well, we've, yes, to a degree.
We voluntarily put it off.
Yes, yeah. We moved it forward 1 year, and they said, and it didn't make it further than here. It is coming up on 13 years old. It does not have a lot of mileage on it, but it has a lot of use. I've had people recently say to me, "How old is that?" And I remember that happening with our previous one, and I don't know if you remember our old one, it was a little white Ford Ranger. And it got old looking pretty quickly, even though we took care of it. So it is time to replace that, and that $65,000 would be a replacement of the F-150. We're looking at either a Ford or a Chevy, but we're looking at potentially purchasing a pursuit-rated vehicle. Not that we want our animal control officer to be pursuing people, but what it does is it just means that it has had a rear-end test, crash test on that to a higher standard than a regular car, and it often comes with more heavy-duty equipment like a suspension or something. So we're looking at that, and also replacing the back cap, which is also 13 years old on that. It's been proven to be very useful. I like the size of it. I like that people can see it. They know what it is. So we're looking to have that done for next fiscal year. Then as we go down to item number 8, that's the body-worn cameras and dash cameras and the tasers. As you recall, we just did a 10-year contract, combining those two together. We had them separately. So that 10-year contract started this year already. So that's why it's in there as one item. And each year of that contract, it does go up, but just keep in mind we're saved about $270-some-odd thousand over the course of 10 years for that 10-year contract. So we are pretty much bound to that unless the town decides not to appropriate funds for that. It's also a state law that we have the body cameras and the dash cameras, so I don't see that being a possibility. Then moving down to the mobile data terminals, these are the computers in all of the marked cars that are used for patrol, as well as the 2 school resource officer cars. The life expectancies of those computers are like 5 years. So we are due to replace them next year, and that's at $53,000.
Do we replace all of them at once for the entire fleet, or?
So we bought 2 3 or 4 years ago, and so this $53,000 includes purchasing new ones as well as extended warranties on the ones that we are keeping to match up to get to a certain time. So a couple of them will be a little bit older than, I think it's 4 of them actually will be a little bit older than the 5 years, but there'll be a warranty on them. The next item down, number 12, is the interview room and video recording system for $4,700. That will be year 2 of our extension. So you may recall we have been now through at least 2 recording systems. Back in around 2011, the state and OPM said you must have separate, completely isolated systems to record in your interview room, and you have to record under certain circumstances if a suspect is a suspect for a certain felony, certain crimes, capital murder and such. And they had specific equipment, so we had to replace that now twice. Since the state has required us to have body cameras and interview or record all interviews, I'm not sure what the state is going to do. We haven't received an answer yet about having a separate isolated system. It seems to be counterproductive. So we ended up extending our warranty for 2 years, and next year is the last of it. Instead of spending the estimated $40,000 to $45,000 to replace that system. So I'm hoping we will have a solution before we get to fiscal year 26-27 and spending significantly less than the $45,000. But we'll still have that $4,700 next line is the soft body armor and vest replacement. So we have about 17 known vests, soft body armor vests that will expire in that fiscal year, and then we are anticipating having to hire 3, whether it's through retirement or new hires. So that's $20,000. Every year and a half or 2 years, whatever the time frame is, we put in for a federal grant. That gives us about 50% of that back, and we've been very successful with that. So again, these funds here come from the private duty fund. It's money that the town already has, so we're not taxing for $20,000 worth of vests. Hopefully we'll only be spending $10,000 instead of the 20 because we'll get reimbursed. And then going down to the very bottom here, somewhat new ask. We tried once before for this already on a utility task or utility terrain vehicle. And we have a lot of potential uses for this. So all the concerts, we take a cruiser down, we take many cruisers down to the PAC Center, and the supervisor, there's always a supervisor down there for the larger concerts, and they have to check on everybody and where they are, oftentimes even go into the grounds, sometimes even onto the field. We have not, to my knowledge, brought a cruiser onto the field, but we could bring a UTV onto the field. Fire department has a fantastic UTV that can carry a person on a stretcher or on a straight board. We're not looking to duplicate that. We're looking to have something else to carry all of the equipment that we carry. So we would have that unit down there at all of those concerts. But it also would have the ability to drive through areas where we have very limited patrol function right now, such as the McLean Game Refuge. There's trails out there that this would fit through. We have town property at the Walker Woods, lots of property there that we cannot get a cruiser through. There have been 2 occasions in the last 5 years where we've had to venture out there because there have been some tree forts of sorts, lots of things that were built out there high in the, like considerable builds out there. And so we've had to travel out there, and it's been by way of foot. Potential use on the greenways with those. Trails by the river, Summit Ridge. We have potential areas of Simsbury Farms, the Aquarian Reservoir, Terriffill Park, Penwood. So we think that there's a lot of uses for this. Special events such as the half marathon, if the fly-in returns to us. There are many opportunities where we are transporting people at these events, especially some elderly people who can't venture back from the contract of being out there for so long. And we've given them rides in the cruiser. This is completely suitable to put somebody in a seat, the seatbelt, and safely get them through the crowds. You have better line of sight, better visibility because you don't have all that metal around you. We're not looking for an open air concept, but there's just much more visibility in those. We were also looking at the possibility of getting one that is roadworthy, so we don't have to worry about a trailer. So, this is a real rough estimate of about $45,000, which is conveniently very close to the cost of an admin vehicle. So
this would be your take.
This would not be, I don't want to be riding home with that thing. Yeah.
Will it require
Goggles
extra
and a
training
scarf.
to
It will.
drive it? Like, does it need a special license?
No special licensing, probably very limited extra training on how to turn it on, speed
Is that
limits,
pull
things
start?
like that. No pull start, not required to wear a helmet. But we're guessing somewhere around 45.
And this would be solely Simsbury, it's not part of like the regional task force or anything like that?
Not part of the region, no. And again, not to replace anything that the fire department has, and not to be used as a primary first responder on something. But we know on the days where we have so many people down there for the 4th of July, for September Fest, first night. Like Route 10 is just closed off. Getting a cruiser down there, which we have to do sometimes to clear people out, and move them down to Iron Horse for the firework, is not so great. And so having this type of unit, and we have many more lights on this. We can light it up like a Christmas tree, or white lights, whatever it may be. So I see a big benefit, and I see an extended use of this, lifetime use of much greater than a cruiser. So what we haven't done with some of these things is hone down the actual cost of these. So some of them we have. So I guess what I'm asking for today is support of all of these capital projects with this rough number. And that way I can put that forward too for further discussion to the town.
Having noted Commissioner Lemke's thumbs up as he walked out, I move to approve the draft of the capital budget. Period.
Second. All in favor? Oh, well, I can't do both, can I?
Yeah, you can.
You pass seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Old business.
Have we officially named you as our chair?
No, we have not done that, so.
I feel like we should.
I had that on my, as one of my questions on the note that we got, so. Do we have to put that into a vote, or what? How does that work? And if so, then if we're not at.
Well, you were our clerk, and so historically the chair serves for 1 year, and then a second year is a courtesy, and then we have a clerk who comes down the pike and takes over when the chair vacates the position. And historically, it has switched between the Republican, the Democrat, and the unaffiliated. So I was the chair for a couple of years because somebody left, and then as the unaffiliated, and then Travis took the chair for a year and a half, almost 2 years as the Republican, so now it goes to the Democrat, which was Tanisha as our clerk. We have to have an official chair because sometimes the department needs to notify the commission of things going on, and then the chair disperses it to the commission. So we do need somebody, and I feel like because you're in the pike, I'm okay with going forward without them here. So I would like to move.
Is there something written that need a required amount of people to vote on it?
We just need a majority of a quorum, so we have 3 for a quorum, and so I don't know about the clerk position, so I don't want to make a motion regarding the clerk until everyone's here because I'm not sure if that bounces to me as the unaffiliated, or I'm not really sure historically how that goes. But at this time, I think we need a chair, so I move, effective today, right now, that Tanisha Grant be named the chair.
Okay.
You have to ask if we're all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.